Previously on Welcome to You Are Doom.
Frisky Dingo? What does Frisky Dingo even mean, anyways?
It's the password.
Password to your heart?
Yeah.
Welcome to You Are Doom, the Frisky Dingo Podcast in Season 2.
Dose!
I wanted to go for a nice big epic intro. I think I captured it well. Me, your host, is always Bryan Dressel. With me, as always, every single time, the well-known Mr. Graham Dell's Dracula Mason.
Hello! Yep.
And we have Matt,
that's all I got.
Super Hip Dykes.
He's never been called super hip in his entire life.
That's your nickname, though, so everybody knows you as Matt and Super Hip Dykes, right?
Everybody knows your name!
No.
Nap. Themes for nicknames this season, and the only season left of Frisky Dingo: obscure, unknown superheroes.
That'd work.
It feels pretty
You got me.
ingrained with Frisky Dingo. Like, it feels like, kind of obscure, unknown, but pretty great. And I'm sure Super Hip Man
there's a
is great.
superhero out there called Super Hip.
Yeah, Super Hip. And there's also
He
one out
sounds
there
cool.
called Dell's Dracula.
Well, yeah, actually. I'm not sure which is worse.
Don't worry, I have a whole bunch more. I'm just looking at them now. They're pretty great. They're just... Season 2 has started, and if you have listened to last week, or Season 1, Matt made a bold prediction on what would happen in Season 2. Matt, how do you feel about your response now, having seen the first 2 episodes of Season 2?
I feel like I'm going to say 15% of it correct.
Okay,
Because it did sort of cough and splutter and stop.
It's exactly what I was saying, is putting something down is better than nothing, because if you put nothing down, that's a 0. But if you put something down, that's 15%, according to that.
I think I
was
got
gonna
a
give
solid E.
I was going to give you
Hey.
25%.
Oh, okay.
I'm not that mean. I think you got about a quarter right. I was impressed at how much you did get right, which was basically the Annihilatrix won't do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. Which it didn't.
It did not.
It did exactly the opposite of what it was supposed to
with
do.
the wrong fucking way.
It did it because you thought it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And
I didn't
not
think
only
it would
did it
cure
not
global
work-
warming.
And this is kind of where we talk about the show, to where it's like, yeah, it's not going to do what you think it's going to do, but it's going to do even more. It's going to do what you kind of think or could lead to it, but even worse than what you thought could possibly be true.
It's kind of like that magical place that I feel like Disney is just determined to figure out what it is. It's like, we're not going to do exactly what you expect. We're going to do something a little different, but it's going to be better. And so far, every time Disney has tried that, the fans have gone, it's not better. We want exactly what we expect. Whereas Frisky Dingo pulled it off every time.
Mm-hmm.
You might be expecting this. We're not going to do it, but you're going to like what we're going to do more. Every time they're right.
So what happened?
Matt kind of said it when we were joking, but what happened was the Annihilatrix went off, and anyone who can use even remote, critical thinking would be like, how the hell would you point it at the sun? Like, it's not like there's one direction. Like, the amount of math that would have to go into the curvature of the Earth, the way the Annihilatrix is pointed, like which way
The
is it
timing
pushing,
of the whole thing.
Yeah, the timing of
There's
actually
so
launching it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
'cause,
anything,
like-
it would have to go off at a certain frequency as opposed to just on.
Yeah, like
There's a
there's
lot of things.
so many things that when you think about it, it's like there's no way it would fucking work. Like, you don't even know which direction it would go, which plays into a factor of it moves the planet roughly 3 feet or a meter if you're from Holland, and it cures global warming. It pushes it just enough out of the way that global warming is no longer a problem.
Yep. Which is, I mean,
And gravity doesn't
Again.
exist, apparently.
which again is a lot, right? 3 feet
Yeah.
is a lot, but
3
still,
feet is a long way to move an entire planet, to be fair.
Yep.
Yeah.
But again, overall, of his plan was to push it into the sun. Not just ever so slightly close. Because if you look at the grand scale of how far is the sun, I'm not a good math magician, but 9 million miles or something like that. It's far, far greater than 3 feet or just less than a meter.
So let's dive into this. Let's get started with season 2. So season 2 picks up. We are no longer in the same show. Clearly, we are now watching a documentary on the presidential race of Killface. Killface, after curing global warming, has decided the only next thing that makes sense is to run for president.
Duh.
Because why not?
Because why not? You might, of course, be thinking in your head, can he run for president? And just hold on to that thought for a little while.
Well, you might remember him from the time that he cured global warming, which
that's
he
true.
Totally did on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely was not an accident.
I fucking love that ad.
With a wink. Oh, that ad is incredible.
Greetings, America. I am Killface. You might remember me from the time I cured global warming, which I totally did on purpose. Wink.
Wink. He's in a field, and he walks up to feed baby Lamont, who's on a post office box? What is he on? What is he sitting on?
He's on a post office.
He's on a post box, yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either.
Why would there be a penguin in a wheat field? Ever?
Promote mail-in ballots? I don't know. Anyways. Vote.
So a few weeks ago, Graham, I gave you the nickname Baby Lamont. Were you excited to figure out who Baby Lamont was?
Yeah, and as soon as he popped on screen, I was like, Baby Lamont! Yes!
Oh, I love Baby Lamont.
Because he's got that Q factor, you know?
Yeah, he totally does. But there's something kind of special about this season, and it's really the documentary shift. I'm still surprised at how well it works. Like, for a show that didn't really use that at all in the first season, you could kind of make an argument for the first episode, maybe.
I sort of see, like, the first season, there are moments where I sort of think, oh, is that, like, are they trying to, like, make it out that it's a bit of a documentary? Like, whenever they look at the camera,
yeah,
you know, it's always that sort of, but it's always tiny moments, like, just scattered around the entire season. I think there's maybe, like, 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. And it's usually Killface saying something, you know, like, we've only got 11 minutes for this part of the kidnapping. But it's not like, you know, when the first episode started, it's like now in this sort of like documentary style, like with interviews, I thought, oh, this is quite an interesting way of like catching us up with what's going on. And then it stuck with it. It stuck with that sort of docudrama style. I was like, oh, okay. But like, I just sort of bought in on it.
At first, I kind of thought it was a new way to do a previously on. But then you're like, oh, we're still doing this. Huh.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just the show now, and that's pretty much it. Like, I don't want to get into spoilers, but
first
this
episode. Sorry, go on.
No, I was gonna say, like, I don't want to get into spoilers, but this is the show for the majority of season 2. They might take breaks or something like that. Like I said, I don't want to spoil what happens, but this is now Office-esque docu-series.
Yeah.
And I think that's just amazing. Like, they do it seamlessly. Like, you don't really call it out. Like, obviously you notice, but it's like, oh, okay, this is just what I'm watching now.
Yeah. I think with it as well, like, the first episode I thought, oh, they'll probably do it for like the first bit just to catch you up. And then it just kept going, and then the episode ended. And I think this first episode just sort of flew by to me. I was like, whoa, what, hang on a minute, was that it? Is that the first episode done? And I was like, yeah, that's 10 minutes. I was like, Jesus, that's gone so quick. I mean, I know it's 10-minute episodes, so they do go by quite quick, but that didn't feel like 10. It felt like maybe 3 minutes, 4 at a push. It just sort of goes so quick.
And it's all basically in one. I mean, they cut back to interviews and stuff like that, but it's all in one location.
Yeah, it's mostly just Killface and Dottie talking, and then you find out Tuck Wheel's in the room after Killface is horrible about him.
Yeah.
But let's kind of move through it. So the thing starts. We kind of catch up on Killface and everything. We kind of find out that some of these more side characters in season 2 have definitely gotten upped a lot, or in season 1 have gotten upped a lot in season 2. Tuck Wheel's now a major character. Mr. Ford's now a major character. Wendell's now a major character. And they're all kind of like floating around
Wendell's
his
got a
campaign.
name.
Sorry, what?
Cody!
Wendell's got a name.
Wendell has
now.
a name, indeed.
I'm so used to just Wendell that I always kind of forgot he didn't get named in the first season.
Yeah.
But man, and now we finally have Dottie, and I love Dottie. She is just awful, but so great. But that's kind of like, and we'll get into this as we discuss the entirety of the season. That kind of is season 2. Oh, that's awful. Kind of love it though, because that just keeps getting worse and worse. So anyhow, as the episode goes, we get the whole introduction as Wendell. He is no longer with the Department of, what was he in before? Department of Labor, right?
Yeah, Department of Labor.
Yeah. So now he is head of Killface's security, and Killface hasn't died, but I think he could use a new head of security. Wendell's not the best. He gets shot at like all the time.
And he comes out on that rope, which is, my hands.
Do you have any Bactine?
My favorite bit with Wendell in that first episode is the fucking bubble wrap on the floor and claim our minds as a security method.
And just Killface. Now give them all. Is that all of them? Yes, that's what I thought.
That's amazing.
It's so good.
Honestly, I think it's the way the show uses Wendell to reintroduce Simon that was just like the icing on the cake for this episode for me. Like, they call him Goldilocks, which I think is just hilarious. And then just Simon like that. All right, so we're going to do the interview with Simon. Hey, so you excited about your dad running for president? He just stares into the camera and starts masturbating at the camera. Like, holy shit, Simon.
And then, like, cut to Wendell going, I wish we could see what's going on in that kid's head. It's like, then it's like just a shot of Simon smiling at the camera with, like, a drill going. It's like, oh, no. Oh, Simon.
Like, is it, like, normal people thoughts? Or is it just, like, little puppy thoughts? Who knows, you know?
It's a very fair response with Simon.
Mm-hmm.
But then we go
Wendell's
straight from Simon over to Wendell having to deal with Dottie in the morning, and Dottie just really, really wants to fuck Wendell for some reason. I'll never understand.
Well, I think
she wants him to go down on her.
Yeah, I think just because he's there, I think is the only reason she's into him. It's just he's the most viable. That is it.
But the way she hits on him is just so horrified. Just
look at me. Wendell, look at me.
Look at me.
Oh, God.
But just cuts the window. 7:30 in the morning. This is what I have instead of coffee.
And let me just point this out. If there are 2 episodes, or, two episodes to have your wife, significant other, to watch with you.
Oh. Are these the 2 you picked?
Yeah, she was there. So, yeah.
We're not at
great.
the worst part of this episode yet. That's at the very end with Taquil.
Well, just until we get to the next episode as well. That's also.
Oh yeah, I was just talking about episode 1. Episode 2 gets better. All right, let's keep finishing episode 1 because we're almost done with it. We forgot to mention that they hired Mr. Ford for all of their polling, which is a horrible idea. It's Mr. Ford. All he does is make shit up and send it over. Some weeks
my favorite one of those was
71%. That's a good number.
Yeah, it's a big 71% on the piece of paper. Yeah, that'll do.
And then he calls somebody up. He's like, "Yeah, I want you to put this on a good square graph. I think you do know what I'm talking about." I don't.
I gotta say,
I don't. What?
Seriously, if
I said, what do you think about global warming? Huh? Well, get a job, you damn hippie. Huh? Fuck you.
If I could just spend a day with Mr. Ford, I think it would be the best.
But just one day. That's it.
Oh, yeah. It'd be too much after
jobs.
that. So after we have the Mr. Ford scene, we find out that Killface is having a lot of trouble with the African-American vote after he tried to go to a church and use Shaft to talk about Jesus Christ, which ended up being
dressed as Michael Vick.
While dressed as Michael Vick.
This and I just checked the timeline. So this was in 2007 when Michael Vick was convicted of dogfighting. So yeah.
So you remember last week when we said that that sometimes their jokes really push people too far? This might have been one of them. But it was. It still makes me laugh with that Jesus Christ. He's one bad mother. Shut your mouth. I'm just talking
about Christ.
And if you catch just that, you're like, oh, that's a little off color. And then you realize, you're like, wait, he's kind of dressed up as someone. And then you look just a bit deeper, and you're like, oh, he's dressed up as Michael Vick. Wait, what year was this? Oh, 2007. What year was 2007 to Michael Vick? Oh my God.
Yeah, they didn't pull punches.
I don't know who Michael Vick is, so.
It's an American football guy. Horrible football guy. After that, we have a scene between Dottie and Killface where they hire Taquil to be the vice president, even though he had some rough headlines. He made headlines again, and not the good kind like you like, by releasing his album Bolocaust. I am not going to talk any more about Bolocaust than I have to. If you don't know what we're talking about, look it up.
I have one note according to that, and it's Bolocaust, and I put ... Oh, man. Just
seriously, you don't see anything wrong with this?
No.
You don't see anything offensive at this?
You don't see it? Just his, maybe they're trying to find Forrester.
Finding Forrester? And it keeps pulling out of the album art, and you're like, this couldn't possibly get, oh God.
Yeah.
This couldn't possibly get, oh God.
Oh God.
This couldn't possibly get anywhere. Okay, they're stopping now. That's a good stopping point. 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, that was a rough one. But it ends, and then we have our two running mates, and just like season 1, we just spent a whole episode on Killface, which means the second episode we got to spend some time with Xander Cruz. Xander's had a bit of a rough time since the old Annihilatrix situation.
Yeah, speaking of rough time, was also a rough time watching this with my wife in the room. This is a rough episode.
Did she not like Simone?
Oh God, I thought it was her day off. I don't know. I just didn't expect her to be here. In the office.
She doesn't have her kick pants yet, which is a little upsetting. I thought she got those like right away.
Pants.
Kick
No,
pants.
It takes a minute.
Kick.
Yeah, it takes a second.
I just as soon as I saw Simone, I was like, I recognize her from somewhere. I was like, oh my God, she shows up in Archer doing the same damn thing.
Oh yeah. I think when you've watched Frisky Dingo and you go watch Archer, you can tell that Adam Reed is a little burned by getting this one canceled. I think he really enjoyed playing.
I never realized how many references to Frisky Dingo there actually are in Archer. So, like, having watched it now, like Mr. Ford shows, I thought he showed up once because of the time you mentioned where he goes, yeah, my ass is everywhere. Like, the end of an episode, like, he's got Archer's car essentially, but he shows up shitloads in later seasons as well. Like, he's just there in the background.
His ass is everywhere.
It is.
I mean, I'm just like, there's all sorts of. I picked up on another one recently because I've been really watching Archer, almost on a loop or something at the moment. I'm just trying to getting me through something funny to get me through the day.
Sure.
And there was another. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, that's another reference that I never picked up on before until actually watching Frisky Dingo.
I mean, yeah, he clearly still has some fond feelings of this show. But let's move back into season 2 here. So my God, episode 2. I can do this. I can
season
stop
2,
saying
episode 2.
Season instead of episode. I promise.
202.
202 starts up with Wendell getting a tour bus for his candidate, as one needs to do. He's got a whopping, was it $9,000 to buy a $400,000 bus?
Oh my God, he shot himself.
With my gun somehow.
With my guns. I just thought, hey, isn't that rival documentarian Michael Moore's fat ass over there?
Look over there. Camera guy, pan over there.
Point the camera over there.
Cheese and rice, he shot himself. With my gun somehow.
Yeah, Wendell is the worst. Luckily, he only gets better. My God, the journey Wendell goes on. It's a doozy.
Oh, we didn't mention that in the first episode. Wendell's outlet is like attempting suicide while shouting Cody's name as well, with his gun pressed at his head, going, Cody!
And
tough.
Just let's all remember, Cody's alive.
Oh my God, Cody, what did you do?
We will see Cody again in this season. It's not great for Cody. Really, really not great. So anyhow, Wendell ditches the documentarian crew, like obviously he would, since he just committed murder and is driving away with a corpse in his bus.
I know he's taking him to the hospital.
No, he's taking him to the hospital. He's doing he's being a good Samaritan.
Yeah, there's no chance he's just going to dump that body the first place where he doesn't see a person.
No,
he's
hospital.
he's a nice guy. Wendell's a great guy.
Hospital.
Yep.
Hospital.
Don't know if anyone noticed as well. The coach is called Cruise Coach.
Oh, of course it is. Yep. Of course it is. Speaking of crews, as the documentary crew looks out across the parking lot of the bus lot, they see Xander Cruz with a bunch of refrigerator boxes, just sort of hanging out. Turns out Xander Cruz didn't do too well without his billions. Cough. He's had a real rough life being poor. Cough, cough. And I just can't believe that he was able to survive without having any money. Cough. Cough. Xander Cruz is a fucking idiot.
I'm hoping that's a summer cough. Yeah, me too. I'm downwind.
Good old summer cough.
Oh my God. So we go and we meet up with him. He's got his outreach center. He's cooking needles so he can give them back to the junkies. He's
cardboard box.
He's
rinsing
cleaning out
condoms and
and then drying them.
No, he's not selling them. Ew.
He's just putting them back where he found them.
Yeah.
That's not a crime. That's not a crime.
I love how he calls them Lucy's as well.
Lucy's. We kind of get a good recap on where he's been and what he's been up to. He's not going to live with Grace Ryan because fuck that. He tried to live with the Exicles, didn't go so well. He couldn't move back into his house.
Accidentally murdered one of them.
Kind of accidentally
Dismembered.
I'm going with dismembered. That feels more accurate. Because yikes. So essentially, I was going to try to breeze past it because it's funnier that way in my head, but you're right. So he didn't realize the Exicles were people that he was hiring. He thought they were robots. And to prove it to himself, he got himself all covered in hydraulics fluid and just didn't realize that's not what it is.
Red hydraulics fluid as well.
Yep, definitely kind of
some hydraulic fluid is red, but it certainly doesn't taste like blood.
Power on, robot! Your Earthman commands you!
He tries so hard.
He honestly tried. I don't think Xander wanted to murder that Exticle. He just did. I also love when they're trying to talk to like Old Spice and Hooker to see like why they didn't let them back in the house. I love Old Spice just jumping up and down on the bed with the katana. Like, oh, he gets real jealous. But just the lower third, when they're being interviewed, just says Hooker and Old Spice, a local couple.
I fucking love the local couple thing. And I just picked up that it's Amber Nash who does the voice of Hooker as well.
Oh yeah, I figured that one out pretty quick. It's just very in her wheelhouse. It kind of sounds like a mixture of Pam and the noise Pam makes when she eats bear claws.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. But just as a person, and you have Hooker.
Yeah.
But beyond just kind of catching up on Xander Cruz, finding out that he's been in a bunch of porn, that he's hanging out with Simone, that he's just generally a disgusting person nowadays. There's not really a ton that happens in the... fair. There's not really a ton in the second episode. Like, I feel like the second episode's more of just like, we did this the first season, so we should do it this time, but it feels like they just didn't have quite much to stand on because he's done so little, I guess, that they just kind of, this is Xander, he was in porn, hey, he still has his money. He's just an idiot and has just been hanging onto the check for some reason. Apparently, I've had it the whole time. Suckers!
Yeah, I think like I sort of agree with you on that as well, because I do remember when I was watching through the second one, I was just thinking it starts really well, and it just sort of like in the middle, it just sort of, I don't know, there's just something about it, it sort of sags a little bit in the middle, and then it sort of picks up a little bit towards the end. But yeah, it just, I think you're right though. It's that sort of thing, like, you know, they did it in the first season, so kind of have to do it in the second season, and we need to do like it's a bit like an exposition dump with a few jokes littered in.
Yeah, because a lot of like the stuff they talk about while he's sitting around his cardboard boxes does come back throughout this season as like callback jokes. So it is important, and there's a lot of jokes you wouldn't catch if you skip this episode for some reason. But when it comes down to it, like I think push comes to shove, this might be my least favorite episode of Frisky Dingo, which is saying something because it still has some funny moments. But I think this is the floor for Frisky Dingo. I think this is as bad as it gets from what we've gotten, not counting the spinoff show.
Aw.
I actually might like.
Yeah, I was thinking about it too. I was wondering because again, if you didn't catch it from my previous exposition, I was watching this with my wife in the room, and it's not great. One, as we've talked about in other episodes, is this show is dated.
Yep.
And a lot of this stuff, you know, it's just we don't really poke fun of, you know, intravenous drug users and AIDS and all that stuff as much as we used to, I guess, in the noughties. So, yeah, it's kind of it was a rough watch, and I was questioning myself of like, okay, is it just a rough watch because my significant other was in the room, or is it a rough watch because it's kind of a rough watch? And the more that we've kind of talked about it, is like it's just kind of one of those things. It's just not that great. It's kind of, again, the interview style of like, yeah, they did it last season with you know, the two of them, positioning them side by side, one episode with one, another episode with the other. But it's just, it's kind of flat. It's kind of,
yeah, flat is a very good way to put it. Because like Cards on the Table, after I finished this episode, I'm like, I didn't really like ending it there, so I had to watch the one after, and it picks up immediately.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I stopped here, but yeah, I'm sure it does, because I was like, when you were like, oh, season 2 is my favorite season, and I was like, I feel like that's true for me too, but it's been so long since I've watched it again. After watching this episode, I'm like, man, I really hope it doesn't stay like this. It's like, but it can't. Huh? Where are we gonna go from here? So I'm very excited to finish the remainder of this season.
Yeah, and I feel like Adam Reed just he's so smart with this stuff. Like you can see it in Archer, you can see it here. He knows when things don't work, and like he is not afraid just to go like, well, that didn't work. Fuck it, I'm out, and he just moves on. And I feel like that kind of happens with the Xander centric episodes, because even in season 1, I like the Xander episode, but it's like, and I like the Killface episode, but Killface is a better character, arguably. So even when it's his solo episode, you're still more along for the ride. Whereas the Xander one, it's like, this would be better if Killface was here.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I was sort of hoping when you start with that bus, like Wendell getting the bus. I really wanted it to carry on with the Killface side of it. And then when it sort of zooms in and like you see Xander, and then we're doing the interview with Xander, and then like I think after about 2 minutes, I thought, this is the whole episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Like, oh, we're staying here.
I just sort of sat there and I was like, yeah, it's got a few moments in it, but I was more interested about the Killface side of it.
Yeah. Like, we didn't rank the episodes of season 1 or like pick favorites just because it's really hard to do with this show since it all flows so well. But I would probably say the same thing for season 1. I think the second episode's the weakest of the bunch. It's the two Xander episodes are just a little rough because I just think, I mean, I know it's only 11 minutes, but I feel like there's just not quite enough there to fill up that time. So they fill up the time with these random one-off jokes that both land and don't land. And since this one went for the incredibly gross Simone character, I still find Simone funny, but I definitely see what you're talking about, Graham. Like, I totally get it. It's like, yeah, this isn't a character that we'd be making fun of in 2020. Like, this isn't, I don't think the gag would be going for, at least not in this way, if we were to do a Simone-esque.
Yeah, we've had movies where she was the main character and they've won awards.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
We're a bit past that.
Yeah, so... but either way, I still had fun watching it. I still don't think it's a bad episode. I wouldn't tell anyone to skip it. I would just be like, plan to watch 3 when you sit down for that one.
Right, yeah, yeah. Strap in.
Or go with Wendell. Get on the bus. Because it would be more fun, I'm guessing. But that's kind of it. I think we've said pretty much everything we can say for the first 2 episodes. Do we want to go through favorite quotes for these 2?
Let's do.
I go first. My first one, it comes from the conversation between Killface and Taquil, where Taquil is trying to grill him on, like, these are things you have to know to be a president. And he just starts going through all of these things, these presidential things that our current president certainly doesn't fucking know. Just one by one by one. And at the end, he's like, do you even know what these terms mean? And Killface just goes, I know I cured global warming.
Which, the other great thing is, Taquil's main point is that Killface is a one-trick pony, and he just keeps he's like, well, global warming. Global warming.
He keeps proving
global
it time and time again.
Global warming. And you're like, yes, that is our point.
Thank you for making our argument for us, Killface.
But at the end of it, Taquil has went over.
Yeah.
And, VP.
Yeah, worked out great.
VP Taquil.
Graham, what about you? What's your episode 1?
I mean, since you picked me as Baby Lamont, I just love all the Baby Lamont moments. Just him interacting with Killface, where Dottie's like, "Oh, he's got a Q factor." He, like, looks at the camera, more like Pew factor. And then later on, like, Baby Lamont jumps on the table and asks for more food. And he's like, "This bird reeks."
Oh, that was a good one. Matt, what about you?
I just love the greetings, America. I am Killface. You might remember me from the time I cured global warming, which I totally did on purpose.
That's such a good one.
And then, like, because I always go with like 2, there's also the why would there be a penguin in a wheat field? Ever?
Episode 2, I had a lot more trouble coming up with a quote, as we kind of discussed. Not my favorite. So I think mine, I already said it when we were just talking about the scene, but mine's got to be Xander trying to rebuild the robot man. Power on, robot! Your Earthman commands you! I think it was probably the best moment. I had a backup in case I had mine taken, but I went first, so lucky me.
Haha. All off screen, I like to add, too. Which I think definitely helped to sell the scene.
We'll go the other way around. Matt, what was yours?
So for me, it's just I don't know whether it's funniest. I just really liked it because of how it's one of those lines where you just don't expect. That's what it's. So it's like where the camera system. Well, it's been a year now, and it's like a year. It's really been a whole year. What's today? Thursday. Oh my God, it has been a year. I just love that. It reminded me so much of like some of the jokes from season 1 you got where it's like it's building up something and then it's like it's like you think it's going to go left and it goes right.
Yeah. That's a great one. Graham, what about you?
And I think mine is in that same conversation with Xander and the camp, which are basically the only conversation. But anyways, he was like, he's running for president. What? He's running for president? Oh my God. He's like, well, I'm going to run for president. He's like, it takes a lot of money to run for president. He's like, well, is $20 billion enough? And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, apparently I've had this check the whole time. Suckers. You're just, what? What just happened?
I think my favorite part about that is literally when you see the flashback of it just slapping him in the face, like landing right on his eyes.
Immediately.
I think that's one of the best side gags in the episode.
It happened immediately. As soon as the elevator doors opened, slam into his face. Yeah, apparently he's had it the whole time.
That's so goddamn.
A $20 billion check for cash as well. For cash.
Yeah, apparently anyone can cash it.
Fucking Stan clones. They're the worst. Oh boy. Okay, so that was it. We have now started season 1. We've watched the first 2 episodes, and I think we're had a little bit of a rough start. First episode was great. Second episode not so great. But unless my memory fails me, I think from here on out, this season's pretty much gold. We're hopefully gonna have back Negative Noah again this season at some point. Maybe next week if our schedules line up. We might even have him on twice if we get lucky, but who knows? All depends on scheduling. And I'm really excited to get into season 2. And then at some point, while we're discussing season 2, we will tell you what our next show will be.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it, but we haven't figured it out yet, so I can't spoil it.
We're still thinking.
We have a few options. They're all wildly different. So
Yes.
good times.
Yes.
Should I just say bye? I feel like I should just say bye. I know we could do plugs, but plugs are kind of pointless because you're already here. So we can just say bye, right?
Bye.
Bye?
Bye.
Yeah, I'm going to say bye. Bye, see you.